One thing that I've learned over the past many years is if you want something done, write it down. If you want to get something done, write it down. Whether it's a goal, whether it's just a basic idea, whether it's this big ambitious project, write it down. When you write something down, it becomes concrete. It becomes something physical that is there, and you're much more likely to follow through on it. You're much more likely to develop this into a plan and execute versus ideas that are just scattered around. And we think about so many things throughout the day, and each day has its own new challenges. If you keep it up here, it's less likely to get done. So what I like to do is write everything down. In my pocket, in my back pocket actually, I have a journal that I keep with me every single day. It is contoured to the shape of my butt. This stays with me every single day in my back pocket. I write down absolutely anything and everything that just comes to mind. Little doodles in there. This has helped me tremendously. But what I also like to do is take the bigger ideas a step further and map things out in a couple different ways. The subject of this video, a new property, I made an actual map. Concrete. This is tangible here. This is something that I want to happen. Write it down, map it out. Also, I use mind mapping software. I love it. This is just a free Xmind software, and I put all of the ideas out in space to where you can actually see it. And you can actually move stuff around and really plan things out so you have something to follow. So this whole life adventure I have into six different phases, right? So up here on the red, I'm kind of trying to not show you everything, but kind of trying to show you what's going on. This is phase one. Phase one in red has been checked. Phase one was moving out of the house, moving out of the shop, getting everything put into storage at Connex on site or on the in-between site, and getting camp established. We are basically camping full time right now, and which we love. But that was all phase one. Phase one has been checked. Phase two starts right now, and that is with the purchase. We closed on 101 acres of woods that are just majestical. It's just so awesome going out on this property. There's big hardwood trees. There's a lot of small overgrowth in between the trees. There's big planted pine trees that have already been thinned. So there's several different avenues as far as we can proceed with selling timber, milling our own timber. There's a creek on this property that is just so stinking awesome. I can picture myself down there on the hottest of hot summer days here in Mississippi, picking around on my guitar while my daughter plays in the creek, just looking for arrowheads or whatever. Man, this is going to be so much fun. We have got so many plans to develop this property into our personal oasis. It's going to be so much work, and I'm looking forward to every single bit of it. So before I get into cars driving by, before I get into the rest of this mind map, I want to focus on phase two for a second and introduce you to the property. Let's jump into the computer and I'll show you this exact map that I created. This is the property from an aerial view. North is up, south is down, west is left, east is right as a normal orientation. As you can see on the left hand side, there is a creek running through it, and there's a section where we own both sides of the creek. All the way around the property is other timber investment property and agriculture type stuff. So we really, on all of this 101 acres, only have two neighbors. And one of them is a friend of the family, so that's already a good sign. And the other one, we haven't met yet, so there's that. We do have an internal trail system already established. That's what this green line is, and it's kind of an approximation right now as far as what I've mapped out. This green line starts from the road up here, and we do have, after the fork in the road, we turn left, a small little pond. When we were viewing the property, the realtor said, you want to know the difference between a lake and a pond? Well, if the land is for sale, it's a lake. If you own it and it's not for sale, it's most likely a pond. So this is a small pond. You can throw a baseball from one side to the other. I'm not exactly sure if we're going to keep it or if we're going to let it drain out, because as of right now, it just looks like a mosquito haven. So we're not exactly sure on it. This trail forks up here and goes north to some adjacent agriculture property at the north. We will have to figure out some type of gate and marking system to keep people off on that side, although this doesn't look like it's a well-traveled area. And on the south side, it goes down to another timber investment. Now this main stretch right here does look like four-wheelers have been playing and having a good old time for years and years and years and years and years digging up this trail. It's in rough shape. It needs a lot of work. So step number one is to keep other people out of it. And then get the tractor out there and clean it up and whatnot. Now it forks off over here, and this is where it just kind of fades off into this hardwood jungle that is just super, super fun and recreational. There are some really, really nice old growth hardwood trees all along this creek, and it's just there's so much potential I'll get into in just a second. As far as the lay of the land, it's pretty wet, but there is like a 30-foot elevation drop from the east side all the way to the west side. So in the areas that are holding water that we don't want to hold water, all we have to do is divert the water towards the creek, and the elevation should provide adequate drainage throughout the entire property. We just have to create those systems in order to get it that way. No big deal whatsoever. As far as the colors of the green here, the lighter green is all hardwoods. This is all just what looks like natural growth hardwoods. Some really, really big stuff, but a lot of small undergrowth all the way through here. So there's gonna be a lot of bush hogging and clearing stuff, and maybe a forestry mulcher. I'm not exactly sure, but we're in no rush to just really do the whole 101 acres. This is a long-term project. The darker green areas, all of that is planted pine. In Mississippi, where I'm at, the pine market is massive. Loblolly pine is one of the most common timber investments around here. People purchase large acres of land, large plots of land, and plant loblolly pines, let them grow 20, 25, 30 years, and then harvest them and just keep the cycle going over and over again. They clear cut, replant, clear cut, replant. A lot of your material in the southeast United States, like southern yellow pine at Lowe's, Home Depot, your box stores, comes from Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. Huge timber market down here. So this looks like somebody, you can tell by the rows from the aerial view here, that somebody planted all of these years ago, and they're ready for harvest. However, I'm not exactly sure if we will take the time immediately to get these harvested, because the pine market right now is down quite a bit and really not going to bring much profit. So probably going to get a sawmill in my not so distant future and have access to a tremendous amount of lumber. So that's the lay of the land as it is. Oh, also back into here, these darker canyon areas, there's what looks like washouts and little gullies that go down into the creek. So there's a lot of little areas here to develop into some nice recreational type stuff. Areas for bridges, areas for A-frame camp huts, all kinds of fun stuff. So let's turn on some of these layers. The future pasture. Our initial plan, which because of the timber market right now is probably not going to happen immediately, our initial plan was to get rid of all the pines. Pines bring a lot of ticks where we're at, and quite frankly, a lot of pollen too. So our initial plan was to get rid of the pines and turn this all into pasture for cattle. Not exactly sure, like I said, how immediate that plan is going to be put in operation, but when the time comes, this will eventually be the plan. Whether I'm harvesting the pine for my own use or whether we're selling it for profit, I'm not exactly sure. Next up, new trails. I want to create a perimeter trail system all the way around here so I can drive it on an almost daily basis to check on the property, make sure everything's going according to plan, make sure nothing is sneaking up on us and squatters and whatnot, or maybe just check on the property, if you know what I'm saying. I want a perimeter trail system that also leaves a buffer room of vegetation between the trail and the perimeter of the property. Next up will be the shop. Now, keep in mind, right here from the road, I have this new trail coming straight back, and that's because I don't think this is going to actually work out, but my initial plan was to have the shop facing west and then the house facing north, so I could have a shared kind of like a 40-foot by 40-foot gravel lot driveway parking area thing between both the shop and the house. However, that's already kind of not going to be the plan, but this is the very first plan and I still want to cover it. So things change, and this is version 1, I guess. So I want to have a straight shot view from the front of my porch all the way to the road, so I can see when people are coming in. And then as I'm working, I want to be able to see my property as well. So that's the plan for this. Now you see this other shoot off over here going this way, and that's because we eventually want to build also a barn. I want to have a barn. That way I'm in the house and I can see down the driveway, I can see my shop, I can see my barn, and I can see past it into the pasture. There's a lot of views that I'm thinking about with this layout right here. So this is all pretty much subject to change. Not sure how it's all going to work out, but this would be an ideal situation. Also, one of the things that I want to accomplish with this trail system is I want to have the pasture sections inside or wrapped around trails, basically. I want the trails to be wrapped around the pasture. That way I can drive the entire perimeter of the pasture without actually being inside it to check the fences and whatnot. What else? Camp locations. So here's something that's really, really fun. I've got a lot of plans for this creek, whether that's just personal plans to make our own little camping oasis for all of our family that comes and visits. We have a very active internal family community, and having a place that everyone else can basically vacation on our property just sounds amazing to me. So I'll put it on the screen. I don't have it with me right this second, but I'll put it on the screen. These little A-frame, essentially permanent tents, right? A-frame tents. They're open-ended, but they're screened in on each end. I would love to have a few of these out by the creek so you can just sit there, listen to the water, fall asleep, maybe put a hammock up inside one of them, or even just a tented hammock or a netted hammock in between trees along the creek. Regardless, this creek is the recreational hotspot of the property, I think. So yeah, there's the 101 acres. There's the initial plan for the property. We have so much work to do, and I am so excited about it. We are all so excited about it. This is a 5-year, 10-year plan, and I'm ready to start yesterday. For this video, I basically just wanted to introduce phase 2, and that is the new property and the initial plans that we have. Now, of course, with any major big plan like this, it's always going to change. So while I do have these printed out, I've got 3 of these, one for each vehicle plus one for the house here, so we can always look at it and keep our dreams in our minds. I know that that's not what's going to end up happening. Life is going to change. The plan's going to change. Things are always going to get better so long as you just keep working towards it, and it's just going to be so much fun. I'll leave you with a couple pictures of the property, but I don't want to go into too much video just yet because the first non-rainy day we have, which I think is 2 days from now, I want to walk the property in some good mud boots because it will be muddy, and I want to show the property in its most raw state before we do anything. I want to show the entire property. It's probably going to be a long video, and I want to show how bad the water situation is in here in a couple different spots of where it's holding water, where it's not holding water, where we need. I want to show the whole thing. So be on the lookout for that. Also about to show you a video for the shop build, the shop design. Be on the lookout for that. That's it for this one. You guys take care. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you in the next video.